a big test is coming up. You're studying, but there's always that question just nagging at you. How exactly are they grading this? What are they really looking for?
Yeah, exactly.
So today we're tackling that head on. We're doing a deep dive into the scoring for the Duolingo English Test, the DET. We're using the official scoring guide from Duolingo itself as our guide.
Right. And our mission really is to clear up some of that uncertainty. We want you, the listener, to get a good handle on what matters to the DET evaluators, which, well, it relies a lot on AI, as we'll discuss.
Okay.
Knowing how it's scored just helps you focus your prep, right? And hopefully go into the test feeling a bit more confident.
Absolutely. So let's start with the big picture, the overall score. It goes from 10 to 160.
That's it, 10 to 160 in 5-point increments. And it lines up with the CEFR, which is helpful.
The Common European Framework.
Exactly. So it gives you that kind of international benchmark for your English level, but it's not just the one number. There's more to it.
Right, the subscores.
Yeah, you get 8 subscores. Think of them as digging a bit deeper into specific skills. You've got the 4 individual ones: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Pretty standard. And then there are 4 integrated scores. These show how you use skills together. So literacy is reading and writing combined. Conversation looks at speaking and listening interacting.
Okay.
Comprehension combines reading and listening. And production brings together speaking and writing. It reflects how we actually use language, mixing skills.
That makes a lot of sense. So how are those integrated scores actually calculated? Is it complicated?
No, actually, it's pretty straightforward. They just average the 2 relevant individual subscores and then round to the nearest 5.
Oh, okay.
So, for conversation, it's just the average of your speaking and listening scores, rounded, simple as that, and the overall score. Same idea. It's the average of the 4 individual subscores.
Got it. And because of that rounding, maybe if you average the integrated scores yourself, it might look slightly different than the overall.
Exactly, yeah. The rounding can cause tiny discrepancies there. Best to remember the overall comes from the 4 individual ones.
Right. So thinking about the practical side, sending scores to universities, that's a big reason people take the test. What do the institutions actually see?
They get quite a detailed package. They see the overall score, naturally all 8 subscores we just mentioned, plus the actual text from your writing sample, and they even get a video recording of your speaking sample.
Wow. Okay. So they really do see you in action, so to speak.
Absolutely. It gives them a much more holistic picture of your English ability than just numbers alone.
Yeah, I could see that.
And universities use all this, just like they would results from other English tests to make decisions about admissions, sometimes about placement into specific classes.
Makes sense.
So definitely always check the specific requirements on the university websites. They can vary quite a bit.
Good advice. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How are the actual questions scored? Is it just like a computer checking boxes, or is there more to it?
Well, there are basically 3 main ways your answers get scored. The first one is pretty straightforward. It's just right or wrong.
Okay, like multiple choice.
Sort of, yeah. It applies to questions where there's only one definite correct answer. Think about read and complete, fill in the blanks, read and select.
Right.
And some parts of interactive reading and listening, like complete the sentences or identify the idea. If you match the correct answer exactly, you get the points. If not, you don't. Simple.
Okay, clear enough. What's the second method?
The second way uses a 0 to 1 scale. This is interesting because it allows for partial credit.
Okay. So not just all or nothing.
Exactly. This applies to things like listen and type, where you type what you hear, read aloud, where you record yourself reading, and highlight the answer in interactive reading. Here, your answer is compared to the ideal one, and you get a score somewhere between 0 and 1, depending on how close you were. So, maybe in listen and type, you got most words right, but missed one or had a small typo. You'd still get credit, maybe like 0.8 or 0.9.
I see. So it recognizes you got most of it right. That's good. And the third way?
The third way involves specific grading criteria. These are for the production questions, the ones where you're actually creating the language yourself, speaking or writing.
Right, like the photo descriptions or summaries.
Exactly. Summarize the conversation, write about the photo, speak about the photo, read then speak, listen then speak, interactive writing, and yeah, the longer writing and speaking samples at the end. These aren't just right-wrong. They're looked at based on different aspects of your language use.
Okay. Now, thinking about those comprehension questions, reading and listening, you mentioned the test is adaptive, right? It changes based on your answers. How does that play into scoring?
Yeah, the adaptivity is key. It helps figure out your level efficiently. So for those straightforward right or wrong questions, getting it right means you'll likely see a slightly harder question next. Get it wrong, maybe a slightly easier one. Accuracy is king there for pushing your score potential up.
Makes sense. It hones in on your level. And for the comprehension questions on that 0 to 1 scale, like listen and type or highlight the answer, what really drives the score there?
For listen and type, it really comes down to how closely your typed text matches the audio. Spelling, punctuation, those little details matter for getting closer to that one.
Okay.
Same idea for read aloud. How accurately does your spoken version match the text? And for highlight the answer, how precisely did you select the correct bit of text? It's about precision and attention to detail in those question types.
Right, so accuracy in the details is crucial there. Okay, let's really unpack those production questions, the speaking and writing. You said they use grading criteria. What exactly are they looking at?
Okay, so for speaking, the AI assesses 6 main things: content, discourse coherence, fluency, grammar, lexis, which is vocabulary, and pronunciation.
6 things for speaking, okay.
But for writing, it's similar but without fluency and pronunciation. So content, discourse coherence, grammar, and lexis. 4 criteria for writing.
Got it. So let's break those down. Content, what does that mean in this context?
Content is basically, did you answer the question? Did you do what the task asked? Did you stay on topic? Is your style appropriate? And importantly, did you develop your ideas? Did you give enough detail or examples? It's about the substance of your response and how well you get your message across.
Okay, so relevance and development makes sense. What about discourse coherence? Sounds a bit academic.
Yeah, it just means how well your ideas flow together. Is it logical? Is it easy to follow? Are you using things like transition words, however, also, because, or pronouns correctly, to link ideas smoothly? Does the whole thing make sense from start to finish? For writing, it also includes structure, like using paragraphs effectively, having a clear beginning and end. Thinking about an outline can really help with this.
All right, the organization and flow. Okay, now fluency, that's just for speaking.
Correct. Fluency is about how smoothly and naturally you speak. It looks at your speed. Is it comfortable, not too fast or too slow? Pausing, do you pause naturally, or are there lots of awkward silences or hesitations? And it also looks at breakdowns. How often do you stop, restart, use filler words like or repeat yourself? A few are totally normal, but too many can affect the score. Aim for a natural rhythm.
Okay, natural pace, good pausing. Got it. Next, grammar.
Right. Grammar looks at 2 things: complexity and accuracy. Are you using a range of grammatical structures, simple sentences, but also more complex ones? And how accurately are you using them? Are there errors that make it hard to understand? For writing, punctuation counts here too.
So show what you know grammatically, but try to be accurate.
Pretty much, yeah. Balancing range and accuracy.
And then lexis, that's vocabulary, right?
Yeah, exactly. Lexis is your vocab. Again, they look at range. Are you using different words or repeating the same ones? Sophistication, are you using some less common words appropriately? And accuracy, are the words you choose the right ones for the context. Word formation matters too.
Okay.
And for writing, spelling is part of lexis. Good news is both US and UK spelling are fine. So building your vocabulary, but also practicing using those words correctly is key.
Right, using words precisely. And finally, for speaking only, pronunciation.
Yep. Pronunciation is mainly about being understandable. That's intelligibility. Can the listener easily get what you're saying?
Okay.
They also look at individual sounds. Are they clear? But remember, any standard English accent is fine as long as it's understandable. They also consider word stress, emphasizing the right syllable. Sentence stress, the rhythm and emphasis across a sentence. And intonation, the rise and fall of your voice. It's all about clear communication, not sounding like a specific type of native speaker.
That's a really helpful breakdown, thanks. So pulling all this together, based on the scoring methods and all these criteria, what's the key takeaway for someone prepping for the DET? What should they really focus on?
Well, first I'd say really get to know the question types. We've seen they're scored differently, so understanding what's needed for each is crucial.
Right.
For those comprehension questions, focus hard on accuracy, especially spelling when you have to type. For the 0 to 1 scale ones, like listen and type, really aim for precision, get as close as you can to the correct answer. Every little bit helps.
And for the speaking and writing, the production tasks.
Yeah, for those, remember, it's not just about not making mistakes. Accuracy is important, sure, but you also need to show what you can do. Use a good range of vocabulary. Try different sentence structures. Organize your thoughts logically. For speaking, work on clear pronunciation and that natural flow we talked about. For writing, focus on clear structure and making sure your word choice and grammar are solid. And maybe remember that the AI is trained to recognize language ability like a human would, looking at the overall effectiveness.
That is reassuring. It's looking at the whole communication package.
Okay.
So quick recap. We've got the overall score, the subscores, what units see, and the 3 scoring methods, right, wrong, the 0 to 1 scale, and those detailed criteria for production.
Exactly. And those criteria cover things like content, coherence, fluency for speaking, grammar, lexis, and pronunciation for speaking. For writing, it's content, coherence, grammar, and lexis.
Right.
Understanding all that, I think, really helps take some of the guesswork out of preparing. You know where to focus your energy.
Definitely less anxiety-inducing. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. Thinking about all those criteria we just discussed, content, coherence, fluency, grammar, lexis, pronunciation, where do you feel your strengths are right now? And which areas might need a bit more practice before test day? Pinpointing those could be a really smart way to guide your final preparation.